Hey, hello guys. Me again, the Lei Tai project. I'm Edgar, and okay, today we have a really good. I don't know how to say. I don't know how to present this guy. This is one of the best Sanda fighters in US. I really appreciate he's here because for me, even like we know each other a little bit, but like to me, he's a really big motivation for us in US, and I know you're going to learn a lot of him. He's from New York, I think. Yeah, and
New York.
he's Max. Max, thank you so much, man, for accepting this invitation. I know many people in the world going to see you and listen to the podcast, and I know they're going to learn a lot from you, man. Thank you, man.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So the first question is like, can you tell us your name and how do you start this beautiful sport and when you start this beautiful sport?
All right. So, my name is Maximilian Chen. So, I started doing martial arts when I was a little kid, around like 4 years old, with my uncle. I was learning praying mantis uh, from my uncle Howard. My dad, William Chen, he teaches Tai Chi as well. So then, around like 11 years old, I started dabbling in that as well. And then my dad used to have a fighting class, so I was very interested in that. And I've always, even as a little kid, I always had like some sort of interest in fighting. So they would take me to tournaments and stuff, and then I would see like Sanda fights. I used to watch like when Cung LI first started, like on the amateur circuit. I used to watch him at the Sanda fights. And he was a big motivation for me. I used to love watching his fight. I loved the way he fought and everything. He was very effective. Kind of flashy. I like the flashy stuff. And so it's really caught my eye. Yeah. So little by little, like I said, I did some Tai Chi when I was like 11. Then I started going to my dad's fighting class when I was like maybe 13, 14. It was mostly just hands though. And my uncle taught me a few kicks, and then from there, like I would meet up with some of my dad's students, and some of my dad's students had some friends, and we meet up and we would just spar. And then I started doing some light contact fights, which I didn't train much for. Um, you know, I don't know, for light contact fights. I don't really feel like I have to train that much. But then then I started seeing full contact fights, and I just started signing myself up for them without even really training properly, like kind of an idiot. Like my first fight was when I was 16 years old. I trained 3 days for it. It was punch, kicks, knees, wrestling, and grappling. I had
Okay.
never grappled in my life. I watched UFC. I was like, I could do that shit, man. So I literally came back from vacation and like saw there was a fight, signed myself up, trained 3 days for it. The week of the fight, like that was going to do anything, and went there and I got armbarred. What are you gonna do? And then from then on, then I was like, oh well, maybe I should train a little more. My dad used to tell me I should train more, and I was like, yeah. I wouldn't really listen. So then, like, my second fight, all I did was spar. I didn't do any running, nothing like that. I didn't do any pad work. I trained maybe 3 days a week for 4 weeks for my second fight, above the waist kickboxing fight, which actually turned out to be a really close fight. I guess I got a little lucky, like, and I didn't really have a Sancho fight until like my third fight was my first Sancho fight. I actually won that, I think, by knockout with a spinning heel kick to the head. But but even then I wasn't training properly. Like even then I trained maybe three days a week, and I added some running in. So like I would say the first couple of years I fought, I didn't hit any pads. I did little to no like cardio for it. I did some weights, but it was a long learning process for me. But every year I got a little more serious as I learned more. I just got a little more serious about doing this stuff. I did a whole bunch of fights. I did some boxing fights. I did some above the waist kickboxing fights. I did some Muay Thai fights, but what I mostly done is Sanshou or Sanda fights.
And I'm sorry, and I don't know if you can hear me well.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, yeah. So I'm sorry, guys. So
I know.
what do you how can you involve in Sanda? Like I know you've been doing some other sports, but how do you involve in this sport like more in Sanda? Why Sanda? I know before it was Sancho, right? But then
Yeah.
Sanda. But how do you involve more in this sport? Because well, I know you've been in the USA team before with Cung LI when he was the USA team coach, and then the transition with Coach Lee. How do you how was that? Because I think you live one of the biggest transitions in Sanda in this country, and that's why for me it's like you are a very like a very motivational for us, you know, because you was in those in that in those sides, like how Sanda and Sancho transitions, you know, in US.
I mean, honestly, it's really tough. Like, the one place I would say I've always been lacking in is the wrestling part.
Yeah,
And in New
we're
York,
trying
it's like
out.
yeah, it's really hard to find in New York. Like, someone got me into the New York Athletic Club for a short bit, but it's not even a class there. It's just kind of like people just training, and then sometimes someone would let me train with them and stuff. But finally, they kicked me out because I didn't have a USA wrestling card. So like, and then I end up finding a wrestling class with at a sambo school.
Oh yeah.
Um, and so I did have a wrestling coach for a little bit, Tyga Macklin, great wrestling coach. And now he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Just got his black belt.
Okay.
Well deserved. But anyway, yeah. So he taught me as much as he could, but it was only like once a week. He had the wrestling class, so you can only learn so much
Yeah.
from once a week. I mean, he's a great teacher, but it's still just once a week. And I couldn't get many Sanshou fights in the US. Like more than half the time. Like in the early 2000s, there was more of them, and then it started dying out. So when I went to a lot of these world championships, the only Sanshou fights I probably had leading up to most of the world championships were the team trials and then worlds.
Yeah.
So it was tough because then I wasn't constantly fighting that sport. I would have to find like other stuff like boxing or Thai boxing fights, or I did a few above the weight kickboxing fights, not too many of those, mostly Thai boxing and boxing. And yeah, so I just did what I could, and I just kept going and going, and just trying to get better and better. I would go out to Cung LI's and train sometimes. I would go out to the gym. I went out there for a couple weeks at a time, and trained. Um, I even stopped by some MMA gyms. I went to Extreme Couture for a little bit.
Oh
Um, so I went to Greg Jackson's for a little bit to try to like just get
yeah.
somewhere where I could get some wrestling in as well. Yeah, so I had to hop around a lot to try to fill in the gaps. Was
Yeah.
not easy.
And what is like for you like being believe me, man, I saw a lot of pictures of you competing, and when Coach Lee's nationals in his school, and
Yeah.
and always when I start competing in US was in 2013, and I always remember like many people talking about your name and Max Chen, and then I remember like I think you were elected to be the coach in Indonesia, right? Or for the USA
Indonesia.
team. Yeah, I don't
No,
remember.
I
Or
think no, it was for I think it was like the Pan American Games in Lubbock, Texas.
okay, okay, yeah, I see. I contact with you. Yes, yes. So I don't remember so well, but yeah, you were elected. No, I think Costa Rica. No.
No, I never went to Costa Rica. I mean,
Okay,
if they elected me, I didn't know about it. Let's put it that way.
okay. I'm sorry. So yeah, well, the thing is like your name is still like it's a big like it's a huge name in the US, And the reason I'm talking about this, maybe I'm going to speak a little Spanish because many Latin people is here. So, but the reason why I'm doing this is because Max Chen, like for people who didn't know this sport or who is new in this sport, Max Chen is like Julio Cesar Chavez from the boxing in this sport. So I think it's
Really?
a
Thanks.
so I think like to me having you here and like listen your story and how do you practice and I think many people going to motivate because um I talked with Corey, and we were talking about like the new generation and like how they don't get, how they why they don't take this serious as before and blah 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 blah. So that is one of the topics that I always talk with. Like I always want to talk with with my with people like you. And what do you think about that? Like, what do you think? Why? Like, what's the reason why people like in this generation why they not so, I don't know, tangled to this, like to Sanda or any other sport? What do you think?
I think, well, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the sport is not so popular anymore, at least not in the US.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always, I'm honestly surprised when people know it. Like when someone says they know what Sensho or Sanda is, I'm like, oh shit, really? How do you know? Like it surprises me. Like even though I'm teaching in the city, most people don't even know what Sensho and Sanda is. I think a lot of it has to do with like when Sensho and Sanda was at its height, nobody was trying to work with each other. Everybody just wanted to be the top dog. There
Oh,
was no, it wasn't cohesive. So like, well, everyone's fighting, to be the top dog. You know, MMA was coming up. You know what I mean?
yeah,
MMA and Muay Thai was just a lot more organized. There was a lot more organization. I think people were just working better together, and they just came up and kind of drowned out Sanshao and Sandan. Like I think if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure if it's anymore, but for a while they Sanshao and Sandan was legal in California. Then they made it illegal for a while, around the time when MMA became legal. It
oh,
just
I
yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah, just a lot of weird, wild shit, and like even when I went to Olympics, like it's just ridiculous. Like number one, it just wasn't so clear how official the whole thing was. So I actually didn't even tell that many people that I was going to the Olympics because I didn't even know how official it was. I didn't know we were supposed to stay there
Yeah, yeah,
until like a little before, and I was like, oh wow, we're supposed to stay there. But I couldn't even. I didn't even stay in the Olympic Village because they brought two coaches that just don't corner people. Like, one guy, he's got a school, he's got some students and everything, but he doesn't corner his own guys. Like, he never corners his own guys. So, like, why are you sending someone who doesn't corner his own guys to one of the biggest stages with us to corner us now?
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, even if he knows what he's talking about, I gotta believe his corner skills are a little rusty. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
If you're not cornering your own guys regularly, yeah, it's like you got to keep yourself sharp. Like you got to be able to see things, and that comes with practice, being in the corner all the time. Like the first time I cornered someone, you know, I probably wasn't that sharp. The second time was probably a little sharper. Third time, but you got to stay in practice, and sometimes there's a long time. Like even sometimes, like oh shit, I hope I see things properly. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's like this guy doesn't even corner his own guys, and now he's coming to corner us. It's like okay, I mean that's not the worst thing in the world, but then they send another woman who's never fought in her life. She deals with just forms, and I don't even think she.
have an
I'm not
idea,
even sure
but
she competed.
yes,
I'm not even sure she competed in forms. So, and she was supposed to be our second corner. You know what I mean? This
yeah,
is this is the kind of shit we were working with. We were working with. So I mean, and we're going to the Olympics. So what ended up happening in the Olympics is that my friend Mike Altman, they actually threatened him and said he cannot say that he coached us, even though he was actually the one that coached us during the Olympics. Uh, I ended up just getting a separate hotel with him because they would not let him stay in Olympic Village with us. So like I got kind of robbed of my experience because of my loyalty to this guy that was actually helping us out. You know what I mean? And he's not even allowed to say that he helped us because they threatened us like sue him or whatever if he says that. But the actual fact is he is the one that coached us. We had to kick the woman out. I'm not going to mention names, but we had
Yeah,
to kick out the corner because, I mean, let's just face it, she was not going to be helpful, and he was going to be helpful. And this is one of the biggest stages. So, so just to give you an idea, like if we're dealing with that during the Olympics, I mean, how
yeah,
together are things behind the scenes? Are they really looking after the athletes? Not really. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's my belief, and I could be wrong, but it's my belief that, they were just trying to hook their people up with positions so they can put it on their resume that they're Olympic coaches. You know what I mean? They weren't thinking about the athletes. So if you're not thinking about the athletes and you're all fighting with each other, of course this sport's going to go down because there's other people that like in MMA, Muay Thai, even Taekwondo, they work together. They work
yeah,
together and grow their sport. Everyone's fighting, trying to get shit on their resume. It's not
yeah.
going to grow.
Yeah, I had the beautiful opportunity to be coach of the junior team in Mexico, and
Oh, great.
yeah, and I was an athlete in Taolu, and then coach, and then the Sanda coach in Mexico too, and then I jumped to US as a Sanda fighter. So, but what you're saying right now, it's I had the chance to be in Turkey, in Turkey in the Junior Olympics,
Okay.
and yeah, and it was, as you said, like, hey man, if you're coaching your kids, because in this, well, it's a junior team, it feels really good, and I never, I'm like, I was the coach of the Olympics. No, no, no. But as you said, man, we're a team. Like, I think you're right there. Like, I think that's why many people don't trust, because it's very, because when you're in the national team, it's um for many athletes, it's very weird. Like, okay, now this guy going to coach me, and this is the way my coach me, and
Yeah.
it's very hard, man, because you need to adapt to them. You need to train with them. Maybe you have a week, and you start knowing their weakness and strength, and how can you help them mentally, physically, blah blah blah. I think that's one of the things that I learned, when I was an athlete, for my coaches, and in China also. Like, hey man, don't worry. Like, if you're not his coach, but you're going to be in the national team, and you need to kick your ass, to be the best for them. You're gonna be the father, the friend, cousin, uncle, whatever.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying right now, because it's very, very difficult when you are in charge, not only for one, but for five or six kids.
Yeah.
And in another country, you don't know the language, you don't know the religion, you don't know many, many things. But it was the Olympics for juniors, so it was. I remember we had two bodyguards.
Oh
Two
wow, man.
bodyguards, yeah. For every team, we have two bodyguards, because man,
Where was this?
in Turkey.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
We didn't have any
Beautiful country.
bodyguards.
Yeah, beautiful country. But every country had two bodyguards for the same thing. So what I'm just listening, and it's very hard, because um I had those experience, before. And it's very hard, like, when you don't feel part of the team,
Yeah.
and there's like, okay, they are my team, and okay, you are part of the team, but you are only part of the team. And it's very hard. But why you think, like, after that happened in your life, what happened? Like, do you, what was in your mind? Like, okay, I want to keep going. I don't like this system, but I love this sport. I want to keep going. And then you medal, you want to medal in two war games, three war games.
I think too.
Yeah, two. Yeah. So man, that's a huge thing. It's like, when I talk about like Alex Isne, you know him.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
it's like, hey
My
man,
boy Alex. He's
man, yeah,
great.
Alex, bro, like your name and Alex is like a really good combination, for the USA team, and he really inspired me. He inspired me, like he gave me a lot of motivation, and he gave me. I remember in Shanghai, I was there with one of my students. I was assistant coach, and I remember like when he got the bronze medal, and like man, he was 39, almost 40 year, and he did this. Like it's the same with you, man. Like you did this, you get the medal. One of the For many people, and I always say this, but for many people who never trained Sanda but Muay Thai, boxing, MMA, let me tell you something. Sanda is very difficult sport because you have the wrestling, you have the kickboxing, you have the takedowns, and you have many things, and you fighting in a platform, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not that easy. So I have a lot of friends like, oh man, yours Sanda, man, try it. It's very explosive. So like when you hear about like someone like who get a medal against Russia, China, or any many other countries, man, they are professional. Like they pay them. People like the country
Yeah.
paid them, and like we like us, like from Mexico, US, Canada, or any Latin America or any America country, we're doing for passion. So
Yeah, that's true.
to, so to me, like you, like when you said that, like man, it's like this guy, he won a medal, but for passion, man, not because they pay him.
I,
Because
I
what
wish I wish I got a gold medal, but
I mean, I know, man, but bro, you got this, you won the podium. So what you can tell us about that experience, man?
it was great. It was bittersweet because it's like the closer you get to the goal, the the more you want. So
Yeah,
it's like at first you think, I just hope I medal, and then when you know you're up for a medal, and you're like, oh shit. Now then you just want the gold more and more and more. So like it was bittersweet both times. It's like you win fights, you win another fight, you win another fight, and then you think you're so close right there, and then you lose a fight, and you're like, oh, so
yeah.
close. It's like, oh man, I was, I'll be honest, I was a little upset actually. I was like, even when I went to Olympics, I lost my fight over there. I was upset. I didn't like sometimes I don't even really like I don't, people are like, oh, why don't you tell people like, I don't even want to talk about it really. Like I don't mind talking about it. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't care. Like if it comes up, it comes up. But for me to bring it up, I'm just like, I just went there, I lost. It's like, I don't feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and people are like, yeah, but you were in the Olympics. I'm like, yeah, I lost the Olympics.
which Olympics you were, I'm sorry?
2008.
In Beijing.
Yeah. So what
Oh,
we had to do is we had to
yeah,
place in the top 8 in the most
yeah,
popular weight classes in the World Championships in 2007,
yeah.
and then that's how we were able to go in 2008. And shit, I tried to train my ass off, but just it didn't
but,
work out.
but man, your name is going to be there, man. Like I always say, like everyone who was or who represent a country or anything, like your name's going to be there in the book. More when you're in the podium, of course, man, because again, this sport is very, very hard. No matter if you fought against two, three, you're fighting against the best, because the War Games and then the Olympics, and right now is the War Games, and now is the Sanda Cup.
Yeah, it's kind of weird too because like you were saying, all those guys are pro. They're
Yeah.
not supposed to be pro, but they're all pro. Like I remember watching Muslim Salikov
Oh yeah.
fighting in Turkey, but then also we were watching him on TV fighting in some other fights, some
Yeah.
other pro fights. Like, so it's like you're supposed to be amateur, but it's pro still. It's kind of this weird gray area.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Many fighters actually like right now, like Iran guys, like they are pro Egypt guys, they are pro
oh
Lebanon,
yeah,
they're
no, yeah,
pro China, they're pro like something like they are like the evolution of this sport every year is like man, you can see the difference, man. And the new generation, I don't know if you watch the junior games, the world games this last year, the last one in the, and like, man, like the evolution of those
Nice.
kids, they're amazing. Like 11-year-old guys fighting like as an adult. Jesus Christ, man. I don't know what's gonna happen in 5 years, 6 years. I don't know, but it's gonna be tough, man. Because of course, I think many people right now is like, okay, I wanna be MMA fighter. Okay, good. But my basic or my skills are Sanda fights. I'm a Sanda fighter.
Yeah.
And you can tell right now there's a lot of UFC fighters, and there's many people don't know this, but there's a lot of UFC fighters who has the background in Sanda.
Oh yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
I don't know a lot, but I know a few.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people like they have Sanda skills. Of course, like for some reason, I always hate when UFC is like Muslim, the kung fu king. Man,
Yeah.
say Sanda. I don't know, but
Yeah.
what do
I
you
mean,
think
that
about?
to be fair, that's his nickname.
Yeah, what do you think about this? Like you're in New York right now, and you have your own gym, and I don't know what are you
Well,
teaching
I,
Muay or I'm sorry.
I had my own gym. I had my own gym with my parents, but that just closed down in September. So now I'm teaching out of another gym in
Okay,
the Lower East Side right now.
okay,
And
okay.
you know, possibly in the not too distant future, maybe open my own place, but we'll see. Got a lot of business stuff to figure out.
Yeah,
So
I get it. Yeah, and
yeah,
what
we'll
what
see what happens.
when you're teaching, like, what do you like? What would you focus more in Muay or kickboxing, or what is your?
It just depends on what's going on. Like if no one's getting ready for fights, what I'll usually do is I'll make it a little bit more uh, MMA like, because I got a lot of guys that want to do MMA fights. And me personally, I always wanted to do an MMA fight as well. It ended up not happening just because life got in the way. Like shortly after I went pro, I had like 3 pro fights, and then I was trying to transition to MMA because I'm like, yo, I'm not getting any younger. I need to jump on this thing. But that's around the time when MMA was still illegal
Okay,
in New York. So like I just like I was, and I didn't have a manager. I wasn't with any big gym, so like I was calling people trying to set up my fights by myself. People just weren't calling me back, and then I was trying to deal with the New Jersey State Athletic Commission. They were telling me maybe they want me to do an amateur fight. I was like, well, I'm already pro, so I don't know if that's okay. And they're
yeah,
like saying, well, because you only have 3 uh, pro kickboxing fights and no amateur MMA fights, but maybe why don't you do one amateur MMA fight? So I had to like have coaches vouch for me, had to have like Coach Lee and a whole bunch of other coaches like vouch for me. I had to send highlight reels, and just nothing ever came of it. Then I ended up having to get surgery. So all these different things happening. I got a little sidetracked. But anyway, so what I'll usually do is I'll make it a little more like MMA based if nothing's going on. But if people got fights coming up, then I gear it to more what they're fighting. So now I have a guy fighting this Saturday. My
oh,
boy Johnny's fighting this Saturday. Uh, he's doing a K1 rules fight. Then I have
awesome.
2 weeks after that, I have another guy doing a Muay Thai fight, smoker fight, and then 3 weeks after that, I have 2 people doing Muay Thai fights. So it's been mostly kickboxing lately, but
Yeah,
then once that dies down, like I'll just go back to kind of just mixing things up, and then when another fight comes up, then I'll be a little more specific.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you know what? I have a student in New Jersey. He's a Sanda fighter, and we always like training in the by WhatsApp, Instagram,
Nice.
and sending videos, and he's really good. I think I'm going to tell him to go with you. It's New Jersey, so I think it's close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Yeah,
I think
depends on where in Jersey. Jersey's pretty big, so he could be
yeah,
far. So who knows? We'll
yeah,
see
I'm
what happens.
going to tell him like to visit you to train because he's going to compete in nationals, to team trial. So
Oh,
he's a
nice.
really good guy. Yeah. So man, what do you expect, man? Like, what do you expect about Sanda in US? Like with your own words, like, do you see a future? I don't know. How do you see it? Because for me, like New York, like there's a lot of I know there's a lot of kung fu people, uh Shaolin guys, even some Sanda fighters. I don't know something, but I never heard about like a Sanda school in New York, like or like a I know they're Europe, but no more people. Like
Yeah,
why this is happening? Because New York is so big, and there's a lot of
yeah.
people like who knows this sport. So what is happening there?
Well, I mean, I just don't think. I just think because of the way things have gone with the sport, just no one knows what it is.
Uh huh.
Like like I'm teaching Sanda and Sanda, but like honestly, I don't have a lot of students. I have a few core people that come and work with me, but like no, I don't think it sells really well. I know I'm still trying to push for it. I haven't changed when I like telling people what I teach and everything like that. But like, yeah, just people
Yeah.
don't know what it is. People say Shao Sanda, what the hell is that? And they'll go and then they'll go find like a Muay Thai school or something like that. It's like it's just something that no one's heard of. So it's like it just it's not. I don't think it's not an easy sell.
Yeah.
It's not an
Yeah. I
easy
can
sell
tell.
because there's certain things that are very popular right now. MMA is very popular. Jiu-jitsu is very popular. Wrestling is getting more popular. Uh,
Yeah.
Muay Thai is very popular. Boxing is very popular. So with all that, you're competing with all these things. Uh, what the hell is Sancho? It's not that. Like most people have never seen it, never heard of it. It sounds like some like fluffy thing that probably doesn't work. You know what I mean? Even though it does.
Hmm.
So it's just a very hard sell. But hey, I'm still here. I'm still pushing for it. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. Same here, man. I'm also like I'm doing this for 31 years, man, and I still like I believe one day this is going to be in the Olympics and but I had my school with COVID. I had to close, and right now we training in my garage. So, but it's okay. Like it's
Yeah.
something happens, something going to happen. But man, can you please how's training with I don't know with Cung LI, like how's being part of the team? Because I remember I saw a video in like you film a video, no, like with the team
Oh,
in
coaching for gold or something like that.
something like that, man. And I
What
watched and
was
I
it about
enjoyed.
Vietnam?
I think in Vietnam, right? Because like I
Yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah.
someone got
Yeah.
sick
I think
because
that's on YouTube.
yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah, I remember
Oh God,
someone got
you gotta
sick
see me. You
because
gotta see me cry after that when I lost my fight. I was like, oh, it's all sad and shit. That's when I got. That's the first time I got third place. But you see what I'm saying? I wasn't even happy about that. I was like, oh, I lost my fight. I suck. This
nah,
is horrible. I hate everyone.
how was that, man? How was that experience, man? Because
Oh, it's great. I mean, Cung Li's a great trainer. When I was training there, Rudy Yap was there as well. He's like the head trainer at Smash Gyms. He helped me out tremendously too. Like both of them, it was great working out with them. Tough bastards used to beat the shit out of me.
really,
And I'm sure that listen, I'm sure they were being nice too. They were still beating the shit out of me. It was great. And then I met a lot of great training partners over there. Jose Palacios, Elena Maxwell, to name a few. There were some great training partners. Like they training with Cung Li. I gotta say, and Rudia, like they really show me how like a little more structure. Like because like I told you, like when I first started fighting, like I'm probably like the first 18, 20, like probably the first 5 years, like I barely hit pads. I barely hit pads. I didn't do that much cardio.
yeah,
It's like I didn't know how to train. So going over there, training for a couple weeks at a time, like uh I think that's what started me understanding some sort of like structure of training. And it also showed me how important pad work is, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like I just didn't know. And like the problem was, I spent so many years just kind of like trying to piecing together on my own that I built up a lot of bad habits that still kind of haunt me today sometimes because it became so ingrained in me. So I had to kind of unlearn a whole lot of bad things and you know learn the correct thing.
yeah,
But yeah, it was great. It was rough at times though.
yeah.
Like the cardio they would put us through, like the sparring. They used to spar pretty hard. At least it felt hard.
And how
And
was that like? You in Vietnam?
a lot of fun though.
Yeah, who you like? You fought against which countries?
I fought Malaysia. I think I got a bye first. Fought Malaysia, France, and I think then my last fight was against Korea. And I
Korea.
actually, yeah, and I think like I'm not saying I definitely would have won the fight or anything like that, but I was like that. I was after that, and I started thinking a lot more about stretching. I felt after those first two fights, my body was so sore. I felt so locked up after that. Like I just felt like I couldn't react to things uh quick enough. Like, I would see some like there was like one kick that actually chipped a piece of my kneecap off. Um, I ended up having to get that taken out. But anyway, I saw it coming and I tried to react, and it was just like a second too late. It spun me around. Oh man, yeah. It was a fun experience, but the guy was a good fighter. What can I say?
Korea.
Yeah. And I think that year Edward Young and I both from one championship.
Mhm.
I think we both shared the bronze medal that time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, man. So and then after Vietnam, what was the best? Then I think after that competition, Coach Lee took the
Yeah, it
team.
came in.
Yeah, he came in
And
and
and listen, that was great too. I love Coach Lee. He's the man.
yeah,
He's
yeah, it's a
awesome.
great guy. Yes.
He knows what he's talking about. I appreciate that. Like, and here's the thing, like you were talking about, like, sometimes it's hard if you have a coach and then like you have to go on a team and then there's a team coach that you haven't worked with. For me, that's never really been an issue because like I would say most of my fighting career, I was kind of I would have don't get me wrong, I did have some coaches. My friend Lee, he helped me with my boxing and stuff like that, and some of my kickboxing as well. But I was also just doing a lot of stuff on my own, so I didn't have a main coach, so that was never really an issue for me. As long as and I bounced around a lot of different places. I did some training with Mike Altman as well, and uh, Rudyard and a whole bunch of other people. I did some training with Kovan, so like I was always bouncing around. So like as long as someone knows what they're doing and knows what they're saying, like I can work with that. The problem is when you put people in that don't know what they're doing and don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
There was another guy that was on the team. I think in uh in Canada. He was like the assistant coach, and like I wouldn't say he's a terrible guy or anything, but I at the same time I don't think he really knew as much about fighting as he thought he did. And to be honest, he just wasn't too helpful. And
In
but
Canada.
yeah, but Coach Lee was there, and he is always been very helpful.
Yeah.
He knows about the scoring. He knows the stuff. You know what I
He
mean?
knows the sport. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that
yeah,
was
he
that was
was
a great transition.
yeah, he was a champion, Asia champion, so he knows the sport. He really like when I the first time I met him, I was like very grateful with him because he gave me the chance. He trusts me, and honestly, he knows the sport. He knows the skills. He knows who knows the sport. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of karate guys or full contact guys or many like don't take me wrong, like the people
Yeah.
who just go to compete and trying to get a like a position or something like that, but they don't know the sport. And I think I know what you're talking about because
Yeah.
right now there's a new structure. They're working in a new structure. I love that. Like they're like they going to start certifying coaches in Sanda with rules, regulations. Like a Duan, like in China. And I like that because I think there's going to be more chances, for people or for new generation. Like if you I always talk to my guys, like I teach Sanda. That's my main wushu and Sanda. Taolu, I stopped teaching Taolu because here in Texas, like people don't like that. It's like not like California or Seattle or Washington. Like people don't like Taolu. It's very very hard. And but Sanda, they like because it's contact, the self
Yeah.
defense. I also teach K1 kickboxing, boxing, but my main one is Sanda. So I think it's gonna be a good thing about certifying coaches to teach Sanda for nationals, because right now Sanda is in the, like right now is in the university games and other things. So it's growing, it's growing. And sometimes, like when you see fighters, in nationals, like their background is like karate, and you can see like it's sometimes like, man, it's not fair, man.
Yeah,
Because in karate they don't have that kind of takedowns or something like that, and they always like get mad because, hey, I don't know the rules. Well, you're competing, that's why you're coming.
yeah,
And for some reason, I always talk to my guys and like, hey guys, if you really want to do this, if you really want to go and try jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, MMA, hey, you're free to go, man. But if you're gonna train with me, you're going to focus on Sanda, because it's what we're going to do, Sanda. And right now I have only 7 students. I don't want more, because we are like training in my garage, so it's not easy, it's a small place.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same thing. But I don't know, man. Like I got you. I really know what you're talking about. There's a lot of countries, like when I in the last podcast, like I talked with the Lebanon coach, and he was telling me the whole sacrifices they do. No, they still doing to be right now. They're in the top five, coming from nothing to be in the top five in the world. And he said, like, man, there's a lot of sacrifice we're doing right now with no support, with our own
Yeah.
money. And that's why, like, you're talking about that, like, man, I went to Vietnam. I trained with Cung LI for 2 weeks in California, right? I think California.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And with a different methodology, this and that, and man, but you fought Korea, like, you got
yeah.
a medal. So there's a lot of sacrifice on you. What are you talking about sacrifice in this sport? What is your like your vision when you talk about how many what you sacrifice to be in the place that you are right now?
Oh, I mean, oh, I could definitely say a lot of credit card debt. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, listen, my parents helped me out a lot. They were always very encouraging. They paid for a lot of plane tickets, a lot of hotel rooms. So, I definitely had some good support from my parents. But you know, whatever I had to supplement with a credit card, I did. And woo, man, I ran up quite a debt that I just got out of like 2 years ago. I finally took care of that debt, but man, I was like 30 G's in with
wow,
with pretty high interest rates.
interest
So
rates.
I had to ship things to other cards and everything. That's kind of part of the reason why I haven't fought in a while either, is because like I was like, oh, one day I was like, oh man, like I had all these, yeah, hurt my back and I had to get surgery on my toe, whatever, and things weren't happening when I was trying to transition to MMA. And then I looked and I was like, oh my God, I looked at my credit card bill and I was like, I don't know if I could do a training camp. Like I'm going to get further in debt because I'm going to have to sacrifice work. I'm going to have to, make
Yeah,
sure I have, the right supplements or whatever, better food quality and all this other stuff. And like, I'm just not going to be able to afford it, and I'm just getting further in the hole, and I was living with, my ex-girlfriend at the time. She was, she was very generous about, like paying the bigger bulk of the bills. I helped out, with what I could, but man, I was just in the hole so bad. So, that's when I just had to be like, all right, I can't fight for a while. I gotta take care of this credit card debt.
yeah,
And, finally it happened. But yeah, like, just, you know, I've just basically been poor my whole adult life. So, just to put it simply, like even like when I went to coach for the US team, like I had to pay for a lot of things as well. They did cover some stuff. I can't remember what they covered, but they did cover some things. But there was still a lot of money coming out of my pocket as well. So it's like, yeah, there just isn't a lot of support. Um, for these things. You do what you can, though. We do it
Yeah.
because we love it. And
Yeah.
right before we fight, though, sometimes we're not sure why we love it. I remember going out to fight, being like, "Oh my god, what is wrong with me? I could go outside and get knocked out right now in front of all my friends and family. What the hell is wrong with me? I should
No,
become an
but
actor."
yeah, that's a kind of sacrifice like we always talk about in the podcast. I think that's one of the most important topics in the podcast, like the sacrifice we do. Like I know money is one of those in this sport. Unfortunately, I think everyone pays for it. Everyone, no matter if you're
Yeah,
rich, middle class, poor, whatever, but you need to pay for it. Unfortunately,
yeah,
many countries like Brazil, Argentina, same. Like they're one of the best, but one of the best fighters, and they say like, man, I had to sell this and that. I remember when I remember in Canada, the first war game I went, I've been, and man, it was really. I remember the last 2 weeks I can't even train because I have to go really like with my the jacket, with the Mexico team jacket, door and door by door, like knocking doors, like, hey man, can you please support me? I'm going to the World Games, and this is it's a dream, and okay, $5, $10. So I remember it was really really hard, and unfortunately in the competition there, I was in Tauluda in that time, and in Chanchuan, I remember I had a sprain in my leg. I broke my muscle. It was really bad.
shit.
It
How'd you
was
break
like
your muscle?
in Mabu, when I jump, and then I land in the horse stand, and it's just my butt, my leg, my really like bruise, like a purple, and that's how I finished, my competition.
Yeah.
But I remember like I felt it like clack, and I like, fuck it,
Jeez.
I'm in the World Game and I'm going to finish. I don't care if I'm going to be the last place, and I finish, and I start crying like a baby. But I think not for the pain, but for the whole thing I have to do, to get the plane ticket. And I remember one of my friends of the Mexico team, when I arrived to Canada, I have not even $1, man. And
Man.
that guy, his name is Felipe. That guy, he like, hey man, take, I know, $400 something. Jesus Christ, he saved me, man. That was really really
Nice
tough.
man.
Yeah, and I learned a lot. It's like, okay man, if you really want to do this, you need to work hard. and i s-
Oh
and
yeah.
i and I
Proper.
started
I,
working
I actually I wish I was as smart as you and went around and tried to get some sort of donations. I didn't even do that. I was just like, oh shit.
No man, I was like, I live in the border with Mexico and in US. I born in Mexico, and then
Yeah.
I become a citizen, US citizen. So I crossed the bridge, from Mexico to US. And I remember one day I spent from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. knocking doors and walking on the street with my little bottle. I don't know, and with like, hey, I'm a Mexico team member, this and that. And I remember I crossed to US. I went to banks, restaurants, uh, stores, and this and that in the downtown, and they support me, man. And
Oh, that's nice.
yeah, and I remember I sold my car in that time. I did everything, man, and every single championship I went, I always I bought. I remember I bought a car in January, and I know I have to sell it. So I know what you're talking about debt,
Yeah.
because I also get that, and I know many people here going to feel like they're going to identify this. They're going to feel, like, yes, I'm in the same thing. But at the end, it's the passion. It's
Yeah.
it's the passion. We're like, right now, like, I'm 42 year, like you said, like, I'm 42-year-old, and you still doing
Yeah.
this for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I love it. It just makes sense to me. Keeps you in shape and it's useful. So why not? And then, like I believe fighting gives you a good, realistic look at the world. It's one
Yeah,
of the most honest things you can do. You have an understanding of consequences. that a lot of people just don't have. Like, I see a lot of people talking mess about like, oh, like, for example, like in some situations, like police, oh, well, he didn't have to do this, he didn't have to do that. I'm like, yo, it's not that easy. Like, people don't understand it's not that easy, but I know because I do, we train, we do physical things with other people, trying to hold people down and stuff like that. It's like, it's not so simple.
Yeah.
And so I believe it gives you a good, realistic look at the world. And you get to meet a lot of great people. You get to travel in a lot of places that maybe you wouldn't even go to. Like, if I was to go to Turkey again, I probably wouldn't go to Ankara.
No.
I would probably go to, somewhere a little more
Like Vietnam, something like that.
no, no, just another part of Turkey that's a little bit more what do you call it? Visitor friendly, you know what I mean? Like, the capitals are a little boring. So I probably wouldn't go to capital, I'd probably go to like Istanbul, you know what I mean, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's more set up for tourists and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
But
Ankara is
I'm happy I got to go to Ankara. It's got its own interesting things. But like I said, if I was going to go on vacation, that probably wouldn't be my first pick. Same thing with Vietnam. I went to Hanoi, where I would probably go to Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon. I don't know which one it's called now. I think it's called Ho Chi Minh City. I would probably go to Ho Chi Minh City because that's better for tourists.
Yeah.
But so you get to see a lot of interesting things,
Yeah.
a lot of interesting places, get some good life lessons, and stay in shape.
Yeah, man. And I think, yeah, my wife is like, I have another business. I'm in the logistic business, and there's a lot of stress, man. Like, that kind of this business, like, is killing you every single day because customers always like this, and you're dealing with customers from Mexico, US, sometimes from China, and there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of pressure, and the just in time. So my wife always like, why you keep doing this? And I say, like, I'm not doing this for money. It's because I'm doing this for my own health. Because at the end, like, I know after when I finish, in my daily job, whatever, I come home and I know I have 1 hour and a half and I'm going to be free that time. Someone going to kick me, I'm going to kick someone else. Someone going to punch my face, I'm going to laugh, I'm going to punch him back. And I think it's like, that's the beautiful thing of this. Like, it gets me more energy, and I have right now 2 kids, and it's like a motivation. That's why, like, I really want to compete. But honestly, sometimes it's like, as you said, man, you have a lot in the ball. Like, right now, it's not only yourself, you have a family, you have bills to pay, you have many things, and there's like, okay, what's the best thing? Your family, or competing, and I don't know, or getting injured, whatever. Like, it's very hard. We were talking about that, Corey Johnson and myself. Like, yeah, we're going back. Like, we want to fight, but like, right now we have kids, we have a wife, we have a house.
And that's Corey.
Yes. Yeah, Corey is just an awesome guy, man. He really, Corey, he's been one of my, we have a really good friendship, and he always like, always giving me advices, and this and that. Is a really cool guy. But man, and then after, okay, Canada, what happened next? Is another war, or you stop there, or what happened with Max Chen?
So Canada was, I believe 2009, right?
Yeah, 2009.
So then I did one more world in 2011, and then from there I had after that I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go pro. So then I did 2 Thai boxing fights, 1 Sanda fight. Lost my first one, the first Thai boxing fight. Then I won the next 2, and then I was like, all right, now I'm gonna try to. Then I started working my jujitsu real hard. I got my blue belt. I did a whole bunch of competitions. I did like, I don't remember, like 4 or 5, maybe 6 competitions. I was trying to get really good at my grappling, which I'm still not that good at, but I'm, it's work in progress anyway. But Uh, yeah. So then I was looking to get into MMA, and that's where I started running into a lot of roadblocks and hiccups, like just people not taking me seriously, I guess. Because even though you say a lot of people know me, like like I guess I feel like some people know me within certain circles. Actually, I don't even realize that people know me. Like when you said, I was like, oh, really? That's nice.
Yeah,
I didn't
man.
know.
Because like in my case, like I remember we met in Lubbock actually, and your name is like an echo, like, oh Max, hey Max. Oh man. I remember one day I competed in 65 kilos, like, hey man, Max going to compete against you, like, oh man, I fucked up. I'm fucked. I was like, oh man, no,
Actually, I should have been competing at 65 kilos, but I've always done 70. That's one thing I realized. Another thing I realized much later on in life. I was like, oh shit, I think I've been fighting in the wrong weight class all these years because I've never been over. I at my heaviest, and this was only for a very short time. I was like 164.
okay.
That's my heaviest, and usually I was walking around about between 162 and 158.
So you always compete
So
in 70 kilos, or that was
yeah,
your okay?
and
Yeah.
so like I would never diet. I would just like cut some water weight, and that's it. So now thinking back about it now, like like some of the guys I train like walk around heavier than me, even now, and they fight at 145. You know what I mean? So like,
I know,
you know,
man. People's cutting crazy.
I've been fighting. I just realized I've been fighting the wrong weight class like for most of my career.
Yeah,
I should have been fighting at 145.
I remember
But
like I remember Gary or Corey told me like, hey man, he gonna fight in your class, and I was like, oh, he gonna kick my ass. Like, oh man, this guy, but awesome. Okay, awesome. Like at the end, it's a sport and it's a friendship, and
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
the kind of guy. Oh, he gonna fight. Oh man, he's my enemy. Of course not. This is sport, and after a fight, you make friends and brothers, whatever. I always said that like after a fight, man, you're my brother, man. I don't care, man. Like I don't have that kind of feelings, and more because it's like because this is not like a professional, sport, like MMA or this and that.
yeah.
There's not money between. And when they told me like, hey, he going to compete this time, like, oh man. And then like I saw you just like judging, like, okay, thank you. but yeah, but I was like, oh man, he's so heavy to be 65 kilos, man. Like you looks like big and like, oh man, but
Oh, really?
yeah, like you because I'm 5'6".
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
I'm
short.
tall, but I'm very skinny.
Yeah, and like, oh man, this guy like looks like it doesn't look like 65. I think he's gonna be 70 or something like that, or unless he's gonna
Yeah.
cut in one night. So, but yeah, I know. After that, I go to 60 because I'm very short for 65, and right now coach is like, hey, go to 56. Like I don't know, man. I like if I compete, I don't know if I can cut 10 kilos, but it's not easy. What do you think about cutting, man?
It's tough, I think as you hear, I never did it really properly. I mean, I only went down to 145 like when I started doing some jujitsu competitions. Like,
Well,
and when I did fight at 145, when I first started fighting, I was walking around 145. So
okay.
like but when I did jujitsu competitions, then I started like trying to cut down lower and lower because then that's when I realized like, oh, I've been fighting in the wrong weight class all these years. I should be definitely fighting lighter. So I started trying to get used to uh, cutting weight. I mean, listen, as long as you do it the right way, there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with it, but it's hard,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
easy.
What
Like,
what's
I
going to
hate
happen?
dieting.
Yeah, what's gonna happen with Max Chen like right now? Like, what are you thinking about? Like, are you going to going back with some students? Like, what can we expect from you, man? Because I think you're a like important guy in this sport, US. So I think you have a lot to do. Like, you I don't know. In my opinion, as a coach, I think you have a lot to do, man. In this beautiful sport. I know, unfortunately. I know, and I hate this. I know this sport is not like we need more marketing, but
Yeah, oh yeah.
but but I think there's a lot of Max Chang to do in this sport in the future, man. Like you need to be there, man. For one reason, you need to be there.
Well, I mean, hopefully, like, I honestly just spent the last couple of years just trying to get my life together. I got out of debt, and now I've just been trying to, like,
Yeah,
there's been just so many big changes over the past couple of years. Like, like my parents' gym just closed down recently. Before that, and so I've been trying to get myself together.
yeah,
There's been a huge transition these last couple of months, finding a place to teach and everything. So, now I found a place to teach. Now, I guess the next step is, I'm gonna be looking to maybe open my own place in the not too distant future. Uh, it's funny, I've been in the business a long time, but there's just a lot of things I just don't know about the business as well. Because, like with my family, it was just like we were only dealing with each other. But now, like, I have to talk to investors and things like that. So it's a little foreign to me. Like, I don't really have. I wouldn't say I have the greatest business mind. I just think about training all the time and stuff. But like, I got some good guys that are up and coming. So I got a girl that she's pretty tough too, and she likes to fight. So we'll see what happens. See how long they stay on the path, and they want to keep going. I'll keep going with them.
yeah, man. Like I hope you can join us in the nationals in the team trials in May. We're gonna be in Lubbock. I don't know, contact Coach Lee and
Yeah, yeah,
because
I'll hit them up.
yeah, War Games gonna be in Dallas this year in November. So it's gonna be awesome, man. If you bring your people, because at the end it's like it's going to be experience. It's like experience fighting, Muay Thai, Sanda, boxing, Jiu Jitsu. I don't know. I think it's going to be good for them and good for you. But
Any chance you're gonna try?
I'm sorry,
Any chance you're gonna try out for the team?
me.
Yeah.
I'm training. I'm training. Of course, I want to 60 kilos, but at the end, uh, I told you last week we just had a really bad experience with my son, and he passed 11 days. 11 days in the hospital. So we just waiting for the bill. So
Oh
uh,
yeah, yeah, well yeah.
yeah, so
Oh God,
everything
yeah,
changed. Yeah, everything changed in a bit. Like
yeah,
I've been training, but my mindset is not there.
yeah,
Because of,
yeah,
of course it's like, okay, it's my son. It's like,
yeah,
thank God he's okay or not really.
yeah,
But he was the worst 11 days we ever lived. My wife and I, and we just waiting for the bill, and or I don't know if the insurance is going to
yeah.
cover or not, or if going to cover
Hopefully,
100%, or I hope so. Yes.
yeah,
Uh, but of course, man, like I'm going to take some of my students, junior guys, and two adults, and in case I'm going to compete in 60 kilos or 56. I don't know. Remember, if I can cut, I will in 56, because last time I competed in 60, and it was like I don't know, that experience that I live. It was like I know something happens there, and I don't know. It was no good. No good. So I want
what was the toughest part of it for you?
the what?
What was the toughest part of fighting at 60 kilos for you?
No, you know what? It's not. I think it was as you said. Sometimes it's my when I cut weight, I was doing the wrong in the wrong way. Sometimes 5 kilos in 1 week or 5 kilos in 3 days. Uh, and I was weak. My brain like dehydrate, and as or and then the other thing is, and it's not excuse, of course not.
Yeah,
But I know, like, or I'm a coach or I'm a fighter. And like you said, like I don't have a coach. My coach, well, Coach Lee, but he's in
yeah,
Lubbock. I'm in Laredo. It's
yeah,
like a 7 hours traveling
yeah,
there, and it's very hard. It's very tough because you need to focus on your customers. They're
yeah,
paying, yeah, they're paying the bills, of course. And when you're free, like you're training, but no one's telling me like what I'm doing wrong. And for some reason, my weakness is like I was losing for just like a pushing out, pushing out, like
oh,
Yeah, and I was like, a man,
Yeah.
what the fuck, man? I was training in Beijing for many years and this and sparring with those guys, and you come here and something happens here and something's, I don't know, change in a bit,
Yeah.
and it's like I'm a coach or I'm an athlete or what the fuck I'm doing, you know. But yeah, that's my weakness. I think I talked to Coach Lee like if I can go and train there, but and that's suppose that I that I've been to that suppose that right now I have to be training with them, but this happened, you know, with my son, and so I had to stay, man. So
Oh, of course, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, man, 60 kilos I think is good for my you know my height. I think is good. But 56 kilos is better. But it's
Yeah.
a lot, you know, it's a lot of speed. In 50 it's a lot of speed. Of course, the power
Yeah.
is different. But I tried the 65 and I tried the 60, and of course I stay in 60, man, because
Yeah.
yeah, 65 right now, the 65 kilo guys, man, they're like, I don't know, I think your size or something
Yeah.
like that. They're big.
Maybe
And
even bigger than me.
and maybe, yeah. No, actually, let me tell you something. In 60 kilos, there's some guys from India, man. There's like a 6 point something, man.
Damn,
Like
really.
huge guys, like some Asian guys, really.
Do they have to weigh in every day now at Worlds?
Well, actually, we started in Indonesia in 2015, like weighing every day. In 2019 in Shanghai, they did they weigh in every day, and we are waiting. Like I don't know in this competition. I don't know it's gonna change, but I think like honestly speaking, it's hard, but at the same time, I think it's fair because I
Yeah.
don't know if you
Yeah.
remember like many like Iranian guys or Chinese guys, Russian guys, man, they cut like 10 kilos, man. And then
Oh
next
yeah.
day they
Yeah.
was like, "Fuck." You know that. You fought there.
Oh yeah.
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 So I think it's hard, of course, like because if you win, you can eat. Like not even you can rehydrate, you know, you need to keep your weight
Yeah.
if you and because you gotta fight tomorrow. But at the end, it's like okay, it's challenging, but it's fair because I'm going to fight the guy with my own like with the same weight class, you know. So I don't
No, that's
know.
true. That's true. I mean, at that point, I think you can't really be cutting water weight. At that point,
Uh-huh.
it's whatever you can diet off. So you just got to eat clean. But it's like, man, it's hard because you have to eat the right amount of carbs, but not too much.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's really hard to do that. I mean, I know some people are really good. Actually, some of the guys, I've trained or trained, some of them are just, even better with the dieting than I was. I've just like I said, I didn't do it too well. You know what I mean? Like I didn't cut much weight. And even when I did cut some weight, it was just all most time it was all water. It wasn't until like I did the jujitsu where I actually started like dieting a bit more and stuff, trying to learn how to cut my weight better. But some of these guys they got down to the science. And there's also like places that you can go. I don't really know these because it's kind of new where you can go where they'll help you like count your calorie or tell you how much you should be
Oh
eating if you want
yeah
to
yeah.
retain a certain weight and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know the name of them, but I've heard about it.
Yeah,
Very least, so I mean,
yeah.
that could be helpful.
I remember in Shanghai in 2019, a lot of people they were like I remember one guy, 56 kilogram guy in I don't remember the country, but man, he was like since the first fight, boom, his eye like this, you know, a
Really?
bruise. Well, yeah, really, really bad. Man, he won, I think, silver. So just imagine,
Oh,
dehydrate, one eye closed, okay, and then he had to
wow, they let him
wait.
fight with a closed eye, huh?
Yeah, he had to. He was like a with a bandage, you know, and then
Yeah,
he had to weigh in every day, no eat, and then with the eye like that and a lot of bruises in his leg, man, he was like he's a warrior, man. Like that guy, like
for sure.
everyone It's like, damn, this guy deserved the first fight. I don't remember, maybe China, or I don't remember who won the 56 kilograms, or India. I don't remember. But that guy was like a amazing fighter. Like, he went against the odds, and even with the eye like this, and it's very hard, man, because just imagine fighting 4 days like that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
No.
when I don't know when you was there, when you went to the weigh-in, and then next day you can hydrate, rehydrate.
Yeah. Eat whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it was the easiest part, right?
Oh yeah. That was nice.
Yeah,
But
but right now,
sometimes I still remember, like, even in Turkey, after, like, I think it was my fight with Peru or something like that. I was so tired. I think it was like my third fight or something like that. I was so tired. It was a couple hours before I could even eat. I remember it was my birthday that night too. I was like, I was there for my birthday. I was like, sitting in front of food. I was like, I'm so tired. Like, I can't even eat right now. Because when you work so hard, like, you lose your appetite. So
yeah,
it was
yeah,
like
yeah,
a couple hours before I had to take my food to go and eat the rest back at the hotel. But
yeah,
yeah, I can't imagine also having to be like really careful,
yeah, yeah,
especially in another country where, like, you don't know what cuisines they have there. Find the
yeah,
right foods that you can eat and the
yeah,
right amount. Oh, that's so
yeah.
tough.
But man, man, and I remember like 2015 is Indonesia. Muslim Salikov, he retired. He fought the last time, and it was a really like a funny thing, because we were in the weigh-in, and I was in this scale, and then it was like a 3 or 4 scales, I don't remember. So my scale, and then I think Muslim, and then the Iranian guy who knocked him out in the combat games.
Oh, really? Okay.
So he went, in 80, I think 85, no, 80 kilos. So he was in 80 kilos. So we when we were like in the line to the weigh-in, he just turned out and like, what the fuck, man? Like, hey, what are you doing? Like, he started talking with the running, like, hey, you, what are you doing there? Like, you're 80 kilo. And they ran, and he started laughing, like, no, no, 85 kilos. No, 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 no. I came here to fight you, man. I'm going to knock you out. Like, no, no, no. I'm 85 kilos. So everyone was pissed off, because yes, because like, okay, now I can cut 10 kilos, because now I have to weigh in every day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he was really a messed up, because he was really, really angry. I remember like he
Really?
was, talking Russian with his coach, like, hey, please put me in a different way, do whatever I want. Like, no, you're 80 kilos, he's 85, you're going to fight. Like, and all the fights, I remembered all the fights, he won very easy. Actually, the final match was against China. Easy fight, man. With one of the
Really?
best
Yeah.
professional Sanda
Muslim
fighters.
is a tough dude.
Yeah, very easy. Pa pa takedowns, pa pa takedowns. The Chinese was like, what the fuck? He was the only Chinese who won silver in the whole team. And he was like, hey man, I'm boring, man. I just came because I want to fight the Iranian guy. But the Iranian guys, they start moving 5 kilograms, because they know they can stand in the same way for 5 days.
Oh man, yeah.
So I remember in the sauna, I was with Gary. Oh, I love Gary. He's a really good guy. We were cutting
Gary's
weight.
my man.
Yeah, we were cutting weight, and I remember some guys. I don't want to say countries, because some of them are my friends. Some guys, man, they just fall, man. They pass. Like,
Oh
they
yeah.
they try, yeah, they try to cut weight, and they were like really, really too much pressure. And I remember like Gary and we took one guy out of the sauna, because like I had to, I need to
Yeah.
make this. And then he like, we start helping him, and he woke up, and he go again, like, oh man, like, we can do, like, if you really want to die there, it's your problem, man. Like, we try, like, hey man, you have to, I don't fucking care, man, I'm going to die, I'm going to be there, and I need to cut weight, and I'm going to. So he fought the first fight. The second
Uh-huh.
fight, he couldn't make it. Many
Jeez.
fighters.
He couldn't make weight, or just couldn't like fight properly.
Like he won the first fight, that guy.
Yeah.
But for the second fight, he started like drinking water and eating, so he couldn't cut weight. So he was,
Oh, yeah. His body is probably holding on to all that.
yeah,
That's
because
that's the other thing. Like they got to understand is that once you cut all that weight, your body starts trying to hold on to water, or so trying to hold on to food, so you're not going to be able to shed it the same.
yeah,
That's why you got to have like
a really good
just
plan.
more money out of your pocket. It pays to get a good nutritionist, someone that
Yeah,
can help you know the proper things to eat, so you can eat as much as you can with the right things that are going to give you energy, but not boost your weight up. Know how
yeah.
much you can do it. Like,
I'm
man,
going
it's the whole science.
I'm going to give you an advice to everyone is watching or
Yeah.
listening this in Spotify. If you can, get a nutritionist from Mexico, because it's a lot cheaper than US. Like,
Oh
of
yeah,
course, yeah, it's gonna be the same
it's
thing.
no.
You're gonna pay
Very good
maybe,
snow.
like, maybe I don't know, every time you get a, like, with a consultation with the doctor or something, the nutritionist, it's gonna be like $20, and she or him going to
Yeah.
tell you what to eat. You're going to spend, you're going to pay that, and man, you're not going to I'm sorry. Wait.
That's all right. Do you think?
I'm sorry. Wait. I'm so
That's all right. No worries. No worries.
I'm sorry, my girl, my daughter. Okay, so yeah,
See her in the background.
I'm sorry. That's the thing. That's the thing. So I think if you get a Mexican nutrition, is going to be very cheap, man. So, man,
Oh, that's a good idea.
thank you so much, man. I don't know if you, man, come. I'm sorry.
So
Say hi.
hey, how's it going?
Don't cry. Uh, so, man, I don't know if you have some words, for the last part of this. I don't know if you want to say something for the new generation, expectations. I don't know, man. Whatever you want is your podcast.
Well, I guess one person I didn't mention that helped me along the way too was Jason Yee. And I asked him once, like, and he gave me a really good piece of advice, like one of the best pieces of advice I've gotten. Um, I've always suffered from being like a very hot and cold fighter. Like, some days I would show up, even in training, like, you'll see it in me. Like some days, like it's almost like I feel like I don't know how to fight. Like it's ridiculous. So it's like, oh my God, like I'm just very hot and cold. Some days I show up and everything's on point. I'm like able to hit my combinations, everything's smooth. Coming the next day, everything feels off. Then, I was like, I'm always so hot and cold. Like I don't know which one of me is going to show up. Like when it comes to fight days, like, is there anything, like you could tell me to like, um, to help out with this. It was a real simple answer, but a great answer. Uh, he said, just keep training till the bad days aren't as bad. And I was like, okay, I think I could do that. And he's right. He was right. Like, as I've gotten better, I'm still hot and cold like that. I still have days where I'm really good and I have days where I'm really bad. But now the bad days aren't as bad. I can manage it better. You know what I mean? So, I guess that's a great piece of advice that I got, and that I would like to pass on as well. And one other thing for my friend Josh, about cornering. You want to, if you're cornering, you want to keep it positive. So you don't say things like, stop that, don't do this, don't do that, because that makes people freeze. So when you're cornering someone, be like, if you don't want to do something, be like, well, instead of this, do this. Instead of throwing two jabs, throw one jab and a kick, something like that. Keep it positive. That keeps the mind flowing. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, yeah, and you're right. I
Those two
think,
things are pretty good.
yeah, thank you, man. And yes, you're right. I think the connection, those the words, the way you said, like, don't do this, don't do that. And yes, that's right. Sometimes when you're in the corner and at the end when you're fighting with your corner, because
Yeah.
they're going to tell you what to do, what you can see. They're going to tell and you just say it. The words that you use as a coach for your fighters, they're the key.
Yeah.
Those are the key
I keep
words.
from my friend Josh Waitzkin, brilliant guy.
Judge, if you are watching us or listening us, thank you for everything for Max.
Yeah.
Max, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate. I enjoyed a lot this podcast with you, man. And
Thanks for having me.
no, man, of course, man. I know many people going to enjoy this because honestly, you just gave us a lot of good things. We uh in the U.S. Because again, I think many people in U.S. they are not like the new generation. I don't want to be. Don't get me wrong, guys, but I think they don't care too much about many things. But like right now, I'm just listening your words, your story, your life in this sport, and it's like I really feel motivated from you, and I think many people going to feel motivated from you, man. And I really appreciate your time. I know it's late
Thank
in
you.
New York. Uh,
No, it's okay. I always stay up late anyway.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you, everyone. This is Max Chen. We're going to be. I'm going to post it tomorrow morning. So please share this post, this in YouTube. Share this in Spotify. Share with your family, your friends, many people, because Max Chen is one of the best in this sport in US. And I
Appreciate
think,
it.
yeah, no, thank you, man. And I think he really deserves like many people know more about him. And if you are New York, New Jersey, I don't know how can we contact you, man? Please, how can we
You can
contact?
hit me up on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way. Uh, hmm, Google me. I'm sure I got some information out there. Um, but yeah, pretty much. You have my contact info. I can send you my number and everything. So
Yeah,
if
yeah, yeah.
anyone needs to reach out,
Yeah, man. Of
I'll give
course,
it
I'm,
to you.
I'm going. I'm going to post it your Instagram so they can
Yeah,
contact you. Uh, and I hope, man. I hope many people can train with you this beautiful sport and keep doing what you're
I
doing, man.
appreciate that.
Because honestly, I'm always watching your stories in Instagram and what you're posting and when you're training with your guys and
I need to get better with really bad at posting.
no, but man, like we are following. I'm following you,
Thanks.
and honestly, again, I really appreciate this because again, maybe during the years, we met very like not so much, but your name,
Yeah.
man, for me is like hey, it's Max, man. Like this guy, he's one of the best. He got a medals. He do this, he do that, and let me tell you, man, Coach Lee he's always talking about you, man. Like when he gave us a speech or something, he always put you in the speech. He always say your name, and he
Oh,
always
really?
mentioned everything. Yeah, and it's same with
I
like
appreciate
your
that.
name and Alex's name, and in the
Coach Lee is
speech,
awesome.
yeah, in every speech, from Coach Lee is your name, Alex Isne, and like what you did, and your sacrifice, and that's why like for me it's like yeah, this is the guy, this is the guy he always mentioned. And and I know many people, I don't know, for different countries maybe they don't understand this, but for us, for me, it's very important. It's very 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 valuable name, so I really appreciate, again, thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
I hope having you again in the future, and I hope to see you
Yeah,
in
anytime.
Lubbock. Yeah, or I hope to see you in Dallas. I don't know, whatever. But I hope, man. I'm going to pray for you, man, for your family too, and then I hope to see you here,
Appreciate
man.
it. I just want to say one more thing.
Yeah, of course.
Uh, even though this is not posting. This is not going to post like today, obviously, another day. Today's my dad's birthday, so I just want
Oh,
to say happy birthday to my dad. Um,
happy birthday.
and also, just want to give a shout out to my parents because, like, throughout my whole fighting career, they were my biggest supporters.
Wow.
And there's just
Beautiful.
no way, even with the credit card debt I ran up, there's just no way I could have done it without them because they financially helped me all along the way. And there's no way I could have done it without them. So they've always been like my biggest supporter, along with all the other great trainers that have helped me, Coach Lee, Cung LI, Budiat, Mike Altman, Jason Yee, like all these guys have, done a lot for me. Jason Strout, like so I've been blessed to
Man,
like train with a lot of great guys. And, even my jiu-jitsu coach, Marcelo Garcia, like all these guys helped and all my great training partners, it's been a hell of a ride and, hoping to keep it going in one way or another.
man, that's why you're here. And happy birthday to your dad. And yes, man, you just said something really, really big. Like with some like without our parents, we're not here, sometimes.
Yeah.
And their sacrifice or our sacrifice is their sacrifice also. So beautiful words, man. Like honestly, again, thank you for your words. Thank you for all your knowledge. And I hope you can share with us in the future. Maybe I don't know, maybe you can come in the future. I'm going to move to San Antonio, actually, San Antonio,
Okay.
Texas, and I want to maybe yeah, I'm going to open again in San Antonio, Texas. So I hope in the future
Okay.
you can come, to Texas and stay with us, and I don't know, do a training camp, and you are more than welcome to my house.
Oh, thank you very much, bro. Anytime, man. I appreciate it.
Nah,
Thanks,
thank
man.
you, man.
Awesome.
So thank you guys for everyone. Please share again. Subscribe this. Remember, we're doing this for passion. We're not. We don't. I don't care about the money. I'm doing this for passion. I'm doing this because I really love this sport, and I know a lot of people is watching and listening this podcast. If you're driving, keep listening. If you're watching this podcast in YouTube in your house or whatever, let me tell you something. It's an awesome podcast with Max Chen. Thank you, Max. Have a good
Thanks for
night.
having me, bro.
Please don't go. Thank you,
And
guys.
hopefully I'll see you soon.
Yeah, man. Please don't go. One, two, three.